What's up, guys? It's the Fantasy Football Anonymous. It's Fantasy Football Anonymous. I'm Joe Osno here with Rob Shaw, Matthew Schroeder, ready to talk about our favorite fantasy plays of Week 13 and the guys we do not want to play this week. We're going to go ahead and start it off with the guy who always complains about us stealing his picks, Matthew Schroeder. Who do you love this week?
All right. Yeah, Joe, you're saying it like the Ohio State University. Well, guys, this week at quarterback, I love Philip Rivers going against Cleveland. He's been having very good success over the past couple weeks. I think he's like a top 5 fantasy quarterback over the past 4 weeks or something like that. He's just been killing it, and he's going to continue to kill it against Cleveland. So if you have him, you're obviously starting him. He's a top 3 option for me. At running back, I actually have the Perine, Samaje Perine against Dallas. This guy has actually, I can't believe I'm saying this. I watched him. He's been running well. He looked good last week. He ran with power. He was running through tackles, and he actually has a pretty good matchup with a team that I think hopefully they're going to be up this game, so he'll get a lot of work. So I love Perine this week. I kind of stacked a little bit at my wide receiver spot. Philip Rivers, so I had to go with Keenan Allen, who's also had a tremendous past 2 weeks. He's probably the number 2 receiver behind Antonio Brown over the past 2 weeks because Brown has just dominated. But Keenan Allen has just absolutely killed it recently, and I could see that continuing this game, especially against this porous Cleveland defense. And I can't believe I'm saying this for tight end, guys. You're going to laugh. You're going to mock.
I am going to laugh.
I got Jared Cook.
That's what I had.
On the week and go. And here's the reason why. I'm going to say it first. Here's the reason why. Amari Cooper's out. Michael Crabtree's out. They're facing the Giants. They have to throw to someone. I think it's going to be Jared Cook. Look for him to have a good week. He's probably pretty cheap in DFS, so he's probably a very good option there as well. And thank you for stealing my pick.
He's actually pretty expensive in DFS. I
is he really?
Do it before the show. Yeah, I think they're thinking what we're thinking. I had Jared Cook too, which I thought was so funny because I always talk so much junk about Jared Cook. But he's getting a lot of catches, especially if you're in PPR or daily fantasy, where it is PPR. He's going to get a lot of targets. I think he's going to have a really good week against this awful Giants team. So my other guys, Philip Rivers, Keenan Allen, those were great. I knew one of y'all would take that. I agree with everything you said, Schroeder. But I went with Tyrod Taylor for Buffalo. Game back, going up against a defense that gives up a lot of passing plays, and Buffalo will be down. It is New England. They always stomp the Bills. They stomp a lot of teams. And I think Taylor's going to have some opportunities to make some plays late, plays with his feet as well. He's historically had good fantasy games against the New England Patriots being down so early. So I like Taylor. My running back, I like Jordan Howard this week going up against San Fran. I just like the matchup a lot. And I just looking at that offense, he's just the only guy who excites me at all. Just nothing going in the past game. They had a tough game last week. But yeah, I like that matchup. I think he's the center of the offense. He bounces back with a nice week. I really like Mike Evans this week. He's been very quiet with Winston being out, Winston being back. Bad Green Bay defense that gave up 30 points to Ben Roethlisberger. I understand he is a Hall of Fame quarterback, but that is a bad performance. And I think Mike Evans will get right back to work with this quarterback, and I think he's going to have a nice game this week.
Well, 2 of my players were stolen. We all had Jared Cook. I also had Mike Evans on my love list this week. I think his owners will be eating a W with the return of Jameis Winston this week. And I believe the Green Bay Packers might be the only team to have given up passing touchdowns to both Joe Flacco's wide receivers and Mitchell Trubisky's wide receivers this year. So good job, Packers D. You're one of a kind. I love Jared Goff this week. He's been on a tear recently, over 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns over the past 4 games, including a pretty bad one at Minnesota. I think he keeps it rolling this week. Expect a lot of Cooper Kupp against Arizona, especially with Sammy Watkins probably going up against Patrick Peterson. But we've seen that passing game can just be productive in all kinds of interesting ways. I like Melvin Gordon this week against the Browns. That rushing defense for Cleveland, while it had been stout, has given up back-to-back 100-yard games to rushers who had been struggling recently. So I like them to. I like Melvin Gordon to have a pretty good game this week, especially with I think the Chargers defense is going to give him a lot of opportunities because I think the Chargers are going to have the ball a ton. And since we why not throw out another San Diego Charger since we've all talked about Jared Cook? Hunter Henry has a nice matchup this week. I hated him last week, of course. Hated him, loved Vernon Davis. Yeah. Not a good job by me.
I called it. We were texting, me and Joe, about that whole Evan Ingram thing. That was pretty fun.
Hunter Henry.
Yeah, San Diego just looks good. Or San Diego, LA. I keep doing it.
The Chargers.
The Chargers.
Just wait until the Raiders move to Vegas. We're going to be getting that one wrong, too.
I forgot there was a hockey team there. I was like, who are the Golden Knights? Anyways, Joe, we stole yours. Why don't you go first on the bad?
I hate Big Ben this week. Going away from home. Ooh. He's typically struggled against Cincinnati in recent years. Those division rivals who know him so well. Obviously, he plays with the best receiver in the world, so he does have a chance to have a 3-touchdown game. But I think it's going to be a bit tougher for him against the Cincinnati team that's pretty desperate, and they might be looking ahead a little bit to that New England showdown that's coming up, and it's a letdown spot I think for Pittsburgh in this game. And he just typically plays so much better at home that I think he could struggle on the road here. I hate Adrian Peterson this week. We saw what happened the last time he played the Los Angeles Rams. He coming off a huge week. I think the Rams are able to get up on them quickly here, and Peterson kind of falls out of the game plan with them not rushing as much later. I hate Tyreek Hill this week too. Alex Smith is just not throwing the ball downfield. We've already trashed him a little bit. He's become throw it short of the sticks every time he has to pass the ball. Becomes so timid, and I agree. I think we might see Pat Mahomes before too many games go by here. And I hate Evan Ingram this week. He has 27 yards combined the past 2 weeks, and now he gets to play with Geno Smith. Obviously, it could work out for him, but I think the New York Giants are in full tank mode right now, and there's just not a lot to be excited about in that offense. Joe,
who's your receiver again? I started focusing on Evan Ingram.
Tyreek Hill.
Oh yeah. That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I'm glad I have Hill in a PPR because he'd be bad in standard. He's at least getting the catches right now, but yeah, I don't like him right now. There's no big plays. My bad, and not bad. Obviously, you're starting him. This is more of a daily fantasy pick. Russell Wilson, I talked about it earlier in the earlier show. I think they're gonna give him some trouble. I don't think this is gonna be that game where they just blow away and he's scoring left and right. I think there might be some turnovers on both sides. I think there will be a lot of scores, but I'm just cooling on him. Usually he's my number 1 quarterback. I always top 5. This is a week that I'm kind of a little nervous about it. And yeah. And for my running back, Mark Ingram, if you notice his touches are slowly decreasing, getting more towards Alvin Kamara. I think Kamara is a better matchup against these speedy linebackers. I think they're going to be in hot pursuit on Ingram. And I think he had a rough week last week in fantasy. And I don't think this is going to be the week that he bounces back. I think Kamara is a much better play. I'm cooling on Ingram this week. Julio Jones, and wow, what a game. Wasn't expecting that. But the thing about Julio Jones, historically speaking, he's very up and down. If you look at his fantasy production from week to week, he usually goes off, and then the next week, oftentimes will have a very pedestrian, 5-point game, 5 catches for 55 yards. It's like the defenses start to focus on him a little more. And this is a very good defense in Minnesota. So I don't think he's going to have quite that great game. But I mean, he's Julio Jones. You kind of have to start him, but I don't like him this week. I have him in a couple leagues, and I don't feel good about it whatsoever. I do long-term, just not this week. And y'all mentioned him earlier, tight end, Greg Olsen. If he plays, I'm just not buying into him quite yet until we see some production, some more targets, the injuries kind of, fading away. I'm just nervous about going all in on Greg Olsen yet.
All right, for my quarterback hate, I'm going with Dak Prescott. He's been terrible lately, so don't play him. He's just been horrible. Even though this game's going on, he's doing half decent. I would have played him. DeMarco Murray is my running back hate. He hasn't looked that healthy lately, and he kind of got saved by a touchdown last week. Derrick Henry outperformed him. So this is just a guy who's kind of trending in the wrong direction. And Houston is actually a pretty good run defense, especially at home. So this is someone who I'm just trying to avoid this week. I'm stacking again. I didn't like Dak, so I'm not going to like Dez. He's going up against Josh Norman and Washington's underrated pass defense. And so it's just a matchup I want to avoid. And I'm going to say Kyle Rudolph at Atlanta. I think there will be a lot of throwing, but Atlanta has actually done a pretty good job of shutting down the tight end. For the most part. And so I'm going to be trying to avoid this matchup if I have better options. Now on to my sneaky picks. Guys, I'm going to be doing some sound effects of these, so do not be alarmed. Number 1 doesn't have a sound effect. Case Keenum at Atlanta. Keenum, I've talked about it in our last show, has been very good, top 8 quarterback the past 4 weeks. I can see him continuing to roll in what could be a decent scoring game. I think they are going to have to score a little bit to keep up with Atlanta's offense. This should be a fantastic game, and I like Case Keenum's chance to have a nice fantasy day. Next, we're going with Isaiah Crowell. He's back. He's getting work, and he's being effective, guys. He's facing the Chargers, who have given up a lot of big runs this year, and so he finally has the matchup. He's finally actually performing somewhat well over the past couple of games. So I'm going to put him into my sneaky play and hope that pays off. I'm a wide receiver. I got Jamison Crowder. He's been very good the past 4 weeks, been putting up a lot of numbers. Unfortunately, as you guys know, he already fumbled this game and has -2 points. But I believe in him, Jamison. I believe in you to make it up and come back strong this game. And lastly, my last sound effect at tight end, Ricky Seals-Jones. He's going to have a big game, guys. No, but seriously, he's gotten 3 touchdowns the past 2 weeks. He's getting more involved in this offense. Blaine Gabbert seems to like him a lot. And so if you don't have anyone else, I would throw him out there, and you could catch lightning in a bottle right now.
I can't believe this Ricky Seals-Jones. My Will Fuller thing was play it till it ends. But I just don't know if I can play it till it ends. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, he's definitely going low. And if you're hurting at tight end, he's definitely an option, especially because, the top tight ends, there's only a few of them. So, but that was pretty funny there, short. But short of Isaiah Crowell, remember, egg salad from a gas station, maybe, like, you might get that. That might be what you experience this
It
week.
is going to be some delicious egg salad. He has double-digit points in 3 of his past 4 games. He's keeping it up this week.
And see, that's why I said egg salad, because I feel like egg salad is a little safer than sushi at a gas station. Like, you have just a little better chance of it being successful. And I will give Isaiah Crowell that benefit of the doubt for this week. So, anyways, moving on. My sneaky play, I got Jameis Winston. I talked about it earlier. Mike Evans. This is a great matchup against Green Bay. I think he puts up a lot of points. Jameis Winston, under the radar this week. Going to have a good week. Frank Gore is an interesting sneaky play. Still fighting off the young guns and still averaging 17 carries per game over the last 3 weeks. He just keeps going. Now, his numbers have been pretty pedestrian. He's scored a couple touchdowns, but, hitting about 70 yards a game. But I just feel like the opportunities are there. And Jacksonville, their defense is excellent. But if you're going to attack them anywhere, what are they going to do? Have Jacoby Brissett pass? No, they're going to have to run the ball if they want to be in this game. And so I think Gore has some good value this week. I'm going with Zay Jones as my sneaky wide receiver. I talked about Tyrod Taylor earlier. He's got to throw to someone. And Zay Jones, while he looked awful the first probably like 8 to 9 weeks, kind of came alive over the past few weeks. Had an injury there, but is back and looks to be the go-to guy, I guess, especially with Benjamin being out. But there's going to be a lot of passes going around, so I think he has good value this week. And for my sneaky tight end, I'm going with O.J. Howard just because he's ranked really low, just really cheap in DraftKings or your daily fantasy. I would probably stay away from him. You might have better options on the waiver wire if you're looking for a fill-in, if you're really desperate at tight end. But he's getting more targets. He's starting to get more snaps than Cameron Brate. So it's still pretty even, but I think he's getting there's just a little more potential there. So I like they're playing Green Bay, so I like the Buccaneers here, and I'm going with him. So this could be a lot of offense.
Well, Rob, before Joe goes on, I think the reason he's ranked so low is Green Bay is number 1 against the tight ends this year, and so.
Oh, I know, I know, I am well aware of that.
Okay, that's a gamble, but I like it.
But I'm calling it now. Listen. He's not going to have an awesome game, but he will get you 4 catches for 50 yards, and there might be a touchdown. There's potential for a touchdown in there. So that's at least 9 points in PPR and DraftKings going at that low rate. I just think it's too good of a deal, even against a tough, against the tight end. I think it really comes down to I still just don't have faith in Green Bay's defense to stop even the tight end. Saw Jesse James break, free on a few. He had a drop there. So, yeah, I'm still going with Howard. Bold.
Well, way to hate on his pick, Mr. Ricky Seals Jones over there. We know Howard's not Ricky Seals Jones.
That's such a good name, too.
Oh, it is. Hey, wait. I will put okay, I lost both the bets we did a couple weeks ago. I will put a bet that Ricky Seals Jones scores more points than O.J. Howard this week.
I'm okay with that because I'm not on the Seals Jones. All right,
done.
Are you in on this one? Or?
Yeah, I'll sit this one out so I can. Okay. I'll just enjoy this one. I don't have a particularly strong feeling about either one of them. Ricky Seals Jones could have win 3 points to 2. It'd be one of those things.
Hey, I like my OJ. It's good in the morning, the juice.
Yep.
And
he kills you in the evening. He kills you in the evening.
Juice 2.0.
Juice 2.0.
I believe Jamison Crowder may have fumbled again. It is possible.
Yeah, he did.
Anyway.
Pretty sure. Anyways.
My sneaky play at quarterback this week. I can't believe I'm going with a guy who's without his top 2 receivers. But I'm going with Derek Carr this game. New York Giants have allowed the 4th most passing yards, the 2nd most passing touchdowns. Just a defense that's completely collapsed since last year. And I think these Derek Carr's going to be able to hook up with Jared Cook and Seth Roberts enough to give you at least a decent return on your investment. I like Jaquiz Rogers this week. We've already trashed the Green Bay defense enough. But I expect him to lead that Tampa Bay backfield if Doug Martin can't go, which it's looking more and more like he won't be able to. Marquise Goodwin is a sneaky dart throw this week with Jimmy Garoppolo taking over the reins in San Francisco. He's clearly the lead passing game option there, and he can always his potential is that he can always bust an 80-yard touchdown, and that's always going to provide fantasy goodness. And Schroeder, I can't believe you didn't take this guy. You beat the Denver Broncos by throwing to the tight end. I'm going with Julius Thomas. You can also beat the Denver Broncos by doing just about anything else because they are terrible.
Yes, they are. Defense, not really. Just their offense is so bad.
Well, I mentioned the New York Giants have allowed the 2nd most passing touchdowns. The Denver Broncos have allowed more receiving touchdowns than any other team in the NFL, which sounds crazy, but it's true. And I expect Thomas to be able to be the most viable pass catcher in that group this week. And I think he has a pretty good chance to find the end zone against a Denver team that's reeling.
Well, guys, before we sign off, I just got some breaking news from my phone. It looks like Dak Prescott has been hurt, went to the locker room, may not return this game. So I had him on the hate list. You should have listened to me. You should have listened to me.
I should have, Schroeder. I should have. I in a draft league where it was just the Monday and Thursday night game, there were 3 teams. I took Dak Prescott, 3rd quarterback off the board. Should have went with Tom Savage. Yeah, I think I was kind of just screwed either way.
Yeah,
so.
Prescott is throwing on the sideline right now, looks like. So he might be able to come back in.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Tony Romo, he's there.
Yeah, he's ready. Well, guys, again, thanks for coming in and watching. Please go ahead and subscribe this video. You can also send us any questions you have at ffanonymous3@gmail.com or tweet us and follow us at ffanonymous3 on Twitter as well. For me, Joe, and Rob, thanks for watching. And remember, stay addicted.